Welcome everyone to our 48th episode of Trends Author Interaction Series. And with immense pride, we have today Major General GD Bakshi, combat veteran with considerable presence in Kargil, Kishtwar, and Rajouri sectors of J&K. He's a renowned military historian, as we all know him so well, and a prolific writer, and he's written over 37 books. And we all know that he's India's most popular commentator on TV on matters of military. And I feel quite privileged to announce that Sir is going to discuss his newly launched book today. And the book has just recently been launched, rather Friday, by Dr. Subramaniam Swamy. And before this, Sir has been on our platform for Boso Gandhi, one of his very popular books, and also the recent bestseller, Saraswati Civilization. So, in fact, to tell everyone who's just joined in, we started our author interaction series in July last year. And if possible, do subscribe to our YouTube channel, Trends Events, and you'll get regular author interaction updates. So welcome, sir. Welcome so much. And thank you so much for continuous support and faith in our platform.
Thank you.
So first of all, I must begin by congratulating you on your new book, which is Thunder Dragon, the COVID Strike. And as I just mentioned, that it has been launched on Friday. And yes, this is the book. It's a beautiful cover, sir. Congratulations on the cover.
Thank you.
Wish you all the best. And I'm sure, like all the other books, it's going to really break all the records.
Thank you.
So my first question to delve into the conversation straight away is definitely going to center around the most important question. What, according to you, caused this gigantic pandemic, and was the COVID virus a natural pandemic or genetically engineered in the Wuhan Institute of Virology? And definitely, I'll come back to the second part of the question, but please go ahead with the first one. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Anita. It's such a privilege to be part of your trends and your author interaction. I thought such kind of a literary platform was long overdue in India, and kudos to you for starting it, initializing it, and carrying it off so well. We've had about, I think this is the 48th book and the author that you are discussing. In itself, very impressive for the short span that you are around, and you are a look forward to a literary event platform. Thank you for your initiative, a wonderful initiative. Now coming straight on to the subject, you know, the Wuhan virus, the COVID pandemic is one of the worst black swan events humankind in the last 100 years. It's the worst black swan event. You know, the previous one such was the Spanish flu of immediately in the wake of World War I. And I hope this does not presage another round of global conflict and fighting. It well could. That is the substance, sum and substance of my book. Now, when this virus started, you know, in the first officially admitted patient was 8th of December 2019 in Wuhan. 8th of December 2019 is supposed to be patient 0. Now, of course, we have intelligence from the CIA that in November, or they are saying fall of 2019, that means any time from September to November, 3 workers of the Wuhan Institute of Virology had fallen sick with remarkably similar symptoms to COVID. Remarkably similar symptoms to COVID. So China knew what was going on. But in the highly charged, polarized atmosphere of the presidential elections in the United States, we suddenly had this mixed up with Democrats versus Republicans. And because Donald Trump was trying to, expound it as the China virus, the Wuhan virus, the Democrats tried to poo-poo the whole thing. Now, one of the primary things that sort of threw cold water on the lab leak thesis was an article published in the Lancet magazine. The Lancet, as you are aware, is the most prestigious medical journal. 27 microbiologists led by Dr. Peter Daszak joined together to write a signed article that the Wuhan virus is a natural epidemic. It is a zoonotic outbreak which has happened in the wet markets of Wuhan. And to say that it is come from the Wuhan Institute of Virology is a conspiracy theory. And Dr. Fauci espoused this wholeheartedly. And he backed
Recording in progress.
And he backed it up, with all the prestige of the National Institute of Health. And therefore, whatever Donald Trump was saying, whatever his his Secretary of State was saying, or his other officials of the CIA was saying, was absolutely dismissed out of hand as infantile conspiracy theory. Anybody who quoted them was banned from Facebook, was banned from Twitter. I myself then for 3 days from posting anything on Facebook because I had dared to call China responsible for this pandemic. But now, you see, after the dust and din of the election has died down, there has been time for more sober reflection. Number of the Republican senators exercised the Freedom of Information Act, and they got out a lot of this hidden information into the open domain. And because of this, I'm very sorry, but Dr. Fauci has cut a very sorry figure in Senate hearing. He has been grilled. He has been toasted, for more or less absolute untruth, for trying to cover up on behalf of China. What was the need? What was the need? You see, it now turns out, that this so-called famous article in the Lancet magazine, which was fathered or led by Peter Daszak, a word about Master Dr. Peter Daszak. He is the head of an NGO called the Eco Health Alliance. From 2014 to 2017, prior to that, gain of function research was being carried out in the US virological labs at Maryland and other places, for gain of function virus, how to preempt nature, how to preempt your enemy, how to find out how a virus which is not dangerous or communicable to humans could become so, and if it did, to create the vaccines for it, create the antidotes for it in advance. So it was called the Preempt program of the DARPA, Defense Advanced Research Project Agency, a lead research agency of the United States military, right? And they were trying to preempt nature. They were trying to preempt their enemy. It was then found that the Maryland laboratory, the Institute of the Military Institute of Virology, there was some suspicion could leak out of there and spread and infect the whole of the United States, whole of the world. So President Obama ordered a complete stop on such research in the United States. Dr. Fauci was very keen to see this program through because I suppose from his point of view, he was trying to see that, nature should hit us with this earlier and, our enemies of the country should not hit us earlier with this. So he simply paid $3.4 billion to Peter Daszak to outsource this research to China, to Vietnam, and to a whole lot of third world countries, where if it leaks out, so what the hell? Some Chinese will die, some Vietnamese will die, etc., etc. I mean, that seemed to be the cynical logic. And he wanted to somehow circumvent that whole ban that had President Obama had put on this. Now the point that issue is, then they got very worried that it would be linked to them, and therefore they started giving clean chits to China. You have a clear conflict of interest. There is a gentleman who has been paying money, $600,000 to the Wuhan Institute of Virology. Then he gives it a clean chit. The research that he was funding, he gives it a clean chit. What business, what right did he have to do? He had a conflict of interest. The same gentleman in February this year, early part of the year, he goes to China as part of a WHO team to investigate the origins of the Wuhan virus. Right? He goes to investigate the origins of the Wuhan virus. He should have recused himself. He should have had the decency to recuse himself because he had business transaction with the Wuhan Institute of Virology. He goes there and he gives China a clean chit. Now, you see, apropos this wonderful theory of this being a natural epidemic from the Wuhan Institute of from the Wuhan wet market, it is full of bloody hole. Firstly, no bats are sold in the Wuhan market. The nearest bats are found 550 kilometers away in Yunnan and Nanjing. All right. So this is a thing that has come from bats, right? So if there are no bats in the Wuhan wet market, how did it start? Where is the intermediate animal? All other pandemics have come from bats. They have, in the case of SARS, it jumped from bats to civet. Civet is a type of Chinese cat, and from civets to humans, right? This was discovered in 4 months. When the MERS pandemic started, then it was found that they had jumped from bats to camels to humans. This was discovered in 8 months. 18 months have passed since this pandemic started, the COVID-19. So far, China has not been able to identify the intermediate host. Now, let me tell you another joke. In the year 2012, 6 Chinese workers who were working in a disused copper mine in Yunnan, which was full of these bats, they went in and it was full of bat shit, right? And they came back infected with a kind of a pneumonia which is so dangerously similar to the bat coronavirus, now COVID-19, right? When their X-rays were taken and they were published in research papers, they showed similar patches, gray patches, opaque patches, as you see in the lungs of COVID patients. But that was not transferable from human to human. It had come from bat to human, but it was not transferable further. Now, my simple point that you would be shocked to know that the Wuhan Institute of Virology is run by 2 Chinese generals, Major General Sheng Li and Major General Chao Wei. You see, they are 2 top virologists of the People's Liberation Army of China. Why is this program being run by the Chinese military? The very fact, you see, in India, is the aims run by the Indian military doctors? No, it's run by civilians. Why was this institute not being run by civilians? Why was it being run by military officers of the rank of Major General? Okay. Now, when this thing happened, Xi Zhengli, she is called the Bat Woman of China. She is an expert on bat coronavirus. In 2012, when that incident happened with the miners, in the copper mine, she straight away sent her teams there and she collected 280 bat corona samples. These samples, they initially gave it a different number. Now it has been found into the sample that has a 96.4% match with COVID-19. She got it in her lab. Now let me carry the story further. 2015, another interesting thing happened. The Chinese Air Force, their top virologist, Zhu Dazan, he leads a team of 18 virologists who carry out study on biological warfare. Right? They write 18 papers. And these papers are presented to Xi Jinping and the top leadership of China. Not once, not twice, 24 presentations are made. That is how seriously the top Chinese leadership took biological warfare. This is the smoking gun. And you know what this study says? It is now available. It is now with the CIA. It has been made public. This study says that the Chinese scientists said SARS is a genetically engineered virus which has been used to deliberately target China. Please understand this carefully. In the Chinese perception, right or wrong, they are the victims of biological warfare which has been waged with them through SARS epidemic. Ergo sum, the Chinese are fully justified in hitting back, retaliating in kind against the world. Now you have, whenever a crime is committed, you have to ask yourself, what is the motivation for the crime? Right? Here the Chinese are clearly admitting that we think we have been attacked by a genetically manufactured virus. China has been attacked. So we are justified in hitting back. So how will we hit back? They have worked out the whole plan, right? So the second part of these papers said that it is now possible to freeze dry biological warfare agents and preserve them for a long period, right? Then you can, take them as part of frozen meat, frozen food to the target country and aerosolize, make them an aerosol, spread them in the air. Go to any restaurant, go to any lavatory, public toilet, right? And release it there. Release it there, aerosolize it there. People who come there will get infected. Go to the Dharavi slum in Mumbai. That has been the main area for spreading this virus in India. Dharavi slums of Mumbai, packed like sardines. 10 to 12 people to a shanty, to a shack. It will spread like wildfire. And it will not be traceable back to China. You can't trace it back. You have complete deniability कि मैंने तो कुछ किया ही नहीं. These are conspiracy theories, right? And the third part of what they said was very, very dangerous. They said this is such an excellent weapon. Firstly, it can't be traced back. Secondly, it can destroy the medical support infrastructure in any country. It can have severe psychological impact on the population. It can have severe long-term impact of destroying their economy. And China can prevail without firing a shot. The Chinese have been talking of non-contact warfare. How can I win without firing a shot? Why does China want to win without firing a shot? Because the Chinese soldiers come from one-child families. They haven't fought a war for the last 42 years. The last war they fought, they lost. Therefore, they are now recruited for 4 years, conscripted by force, forced to join the Chinese army. Such a child, princeling child from a single child family, thoroughly spoiled. I mean, who won't spoil a single child? My grandchildren are single children. My son has one daughter and my daughter has one son. And we spoil them. quite obvious. Now, do you think I, as a grandfather, would like to see my only grandson in the army? I think I would not. It's his choice if he wants to. But the worry would be, I have only one child. What happens if something happens to him in war? So this is exact Chinese problem. And all those people who come to the Chinese People Liberation Army are not willing to fight. They are willing to take part in parades and very grand, this thing and, shadow boxing like they were doing in Ladakh when they got it back, right? But they are not willing to get involved in a kinetic head-on fight. Therefore, you choose this method of fighting, biological warfare. This is disgraceful. This is not acceptable. 172 billion people globally have been infected. 4 billion people are dead. $2 trillion lost to the global economy.
So, right, sir. I mean, the way you've researched on the topic, in fact, you've been telling everybody right from the beginning that what is the intention behind this pandemic. But now people have really seriously started contemplating and seriously started trusting that, yes, this is the motive. So, sir, do you think it was you think obviously that it is a deliberate biological warfare which was designed to corrupt nations? And you also feel that physically maybe the army is not that strong and they have to resort to this. So, do you think this is how, I mean, we need to put a stop somewhere, otherwise they'll just carry on with this? Maybe they'll have future plans?
You have put your finger on the Dukhti rug. In India itself, 3 crore people have been infected. Over 3 lakh, almost 3.5 lakh people have died. This is more than all the people who have died in all our wars since independence, in the 30 years of terrorism. In all the wars since independence, we've lost about 25,480 soldiers, right? And if you add the civilians, it would be about 30,000, right? In all the terror that Pakistan has been sponsoring in J&K and Punjab and the rest of India, we've lost about 80,000 people. So all told, we've lost about 1 lakh something. This is twice that amount. Indians have been killed. Some of them are your relation. Somebody's father, somebody's mother, somebody's uncle, somebody's aunt, somebody's son, somebody's daughter. Are we just supposed to take it lying down? The Chinese communists, are cocking a snook. And the Indian communists tell us, China is too strong. Don't you dare even say this, that they have done this. आप नाम भी नहीं ले सकते साहब. अरे साहब, my small point is that if you can't even take their name, how will you stop him? He's so happy. He has 1,200 different dangerous viruses stored up in that Wuhan Institute of Virology. So what is the meaning of this? Every second month, third month, a new bloody virus, a new mutant will be spread all over the world. Only China is safe. The virus started where? Wuhan, China. Very strict lockdown. It wasn't allowed to spread to Beijing, 1,000 kilometers away, to Shanghai, 800 kilometers away. But from 8th of December, when the Chinese admitted the first patient, till March, 25 planes per day, flights a day, New York, were allowed to go to Europe, were allowed to come to Japan, were allowed to come to India. Why? When you put a lockdown inside China, why did you allow free flights out of Wuhan? What was the intention? You see, so far people were talking of 2 theories. One is natural epidemic, second is accidental release. In my book, I am proposing a third theory. It is not an accidental release. It is a staged accident. जानबूझ के किया हुआ accident to make the whole world fall sick, to disable the world with biological warfare so that China can emerge as the sole superpower. 8th of December, China had the patient zero, right? 28th of December, the Chinese aircraft carrier, Liaoning, sails out for Taiwan, to threaten the countries of the South China Sea, Indonesia, Malaysia, Vietnam, Singapore, all these small countries they are trying to threaten. Then they go to threaten Japan. Then they go to threaten Taiwan. They act aggressive against all their neighbors. And in March last year, they came against India. All the neighbors on all borders, they are acting aggressive. They are starting military maneuvers. If a country is down with a serious pandemic, is that the time you will choose to start military operations against all your neighbors? Please try and understand me. So what I have done in this book, and once again, this is in the Tom Clancy genre. Tom Clancy. We do wargaming. The experts get together and they wargame a scenario. What if? If this was biological warfare, how could it have happened in China? We study Chinese military doctrine. We study China's work on biological warfare. We study the thinking of the People's Liberation Army, their writings on biological warfare. And there is a spate of writings on biological warfare. Right? So the simple fact is, so then we create a fictional scenario. This is called a scenario generation exercise. So for common people, it doesn't become very heavy reading. It is in the form of a fictionalized story, a novel, so that it is light reading, but it is as close to reality as possible. So in a fictive format, you are able to absorb and understand what really happened in Wuhan. So I have created a fictional series like that, where we will be wargaming various scenarios. The first one, was Siege of Wuhan. We wargamed, counter-terrorist operations in Jammu Kashmir. Second one, we wargamed what happens if a nuke leaks out of Pakistan. It is taken away by the terrorists. So that was called Maelstrom Rising. Now they take it to Maldives, etc., etc. That is the second novel. The third novel is this one, the Thunder Dragon, COVID strike. How it is a planned strike. You see?
Fantastic, I would say a fantastic way of formatting and getting people very, very close to the reality, still making it very interesting and, a very, very important takeaway. So what do you think, sir, is the most important takeaway from the book? And I mean, you wrote this book. So what do you have in mind? I mean, you've launched it fairly recently. So why do you think people should read it? They're going to read it, of course.
Because for one, we must understand what is going on. We must understand what or who is responsible for the death of 3 lakh Indians. It's not a small number. 3 lakh Indians are dead. Your and my children haven't been able to go to school for the last almost 2 years. 2 years of lost childhood. 2 years of businesses destroyed. Jobs, livelihoods destroyed. Who is answerable? We will just shrug it away. It is China. We can do nothing to China. So the question that you have to ask is, how do we stop China? Are you aware that China has established a similar institute of virology in Pakistan? And Pakistan is talking peace. Pakistan is saying we want a ceasefire, because they have also found a very nice way of fighting you, biological warfare. Bimar karo inko, maro. You will kill lakhs of Indians. लड़ाई करोगे तो थाउजेंड इंडियन मरेंगे, वो आपके तो 10,000 मर जाएंगे. इंडिया कोई मतलब इज नॉट अ पुश ओवर. India has a strong military power. You will get it back. You found a new way of fighting. Even Pakistan will try and make you sick. And they have been trying their level best to kill Indian citizens by drones, by terrorists, by bombs, and now they will do it by biological bombs. China has given them the Institute of Virology. So, matlab, there is no stopping China. Can the world really do nothing? I'm sorry, that is not correct. You see, China tried to defy the global international rule-based order. You know, when Philippines took it to the International Court of Justice over the South China Sea dispute, the International Court of Justice ruled in favor of Philippines. They said China has no legitimate claim to the South China Sea. They threw out the Chinese claim. China treated that with contempt. कि क्या कर लेगी International Court of Justice? But China has been forced to pay a price. Today in the South China Sea, in the Taiwan, around Taiwan, there are 4 American carrier battle groups. There was a French carrier battle group, a Chinese battle group, Indian battle groups have gone there, British battle group based on the Queen Elizabeth, the latest aircraft carrier is heading for the South China Sea. So China has invited trouble. China has invited a pushback. Now China is getting worried, combined to put sanctions, put military pressure, take away the commerce chains from China, take away the business from China. And on the 100th anniversary of the People's Republic of China, just a few days back, what did Xi Jinping say? We will break your head. We will make your head bleed. We will split your head. And then the Chinese are planning to increase their nuclear weapons. अरे यार तुम सीधा लड़ नहीं सकते, कभी तुम दुनिया को न्यूक्लियर वेपन्स की धमकी दे रहे हो, कभी आप बायोलॉजिकल वॉरफेयर इस्तेमाल कर रहे हैं. And the world is supposed to keep quiet. Why? Why? Why is the world supposed to just grin and bear it? You know the latest thing that has happened? A Chinese vice minister of the State Security Bureau, their intelligence organization, in the month of February, defected to the United States. He has now been singing like a canary. He has brought a whole lot of intelligence records with him, which show that China has, with its real deep pockets, purchased so many people in the United States, in the academia, in the government, in the services, in the universities, in the intelligence services. Deep penetration of American society because the Chinese have deep pockets. And that is why Joe Biden has gotten worried enough to order his agencies. You find out whether it was a natural virus or a deliberate or a accidental release. I think he should have added or a deliberate release, because adequate circumstantial evidence is now available. So my request to people is, we must know what is happening. We must have the courage to face the truth. We cannot live in a make-believe world. We cannot act like ostriches, otherwise we will get hit again and again and again, and our economy will be destroyed. Tomorrow Pakistan will feel emboldened. If China can get away, why can't Pakistan get away? सब मिलके मारो इंडियंस को. क्यों? हम नाली के कीड़े हैं, हम गली के कुत्ते हैं. Indians are for the killing. They are so cheap, you see. Nobody bothers if Indians die. We bother. We'll make you pay a price. You can't get away with it. You will not be allowed to get away with it. Why is this outcry not coming? Is 3 lakh Indians dead not enough for you? I ask you. 3 lakh Indians have died. Somebody's mother, somebody's father, somebody's uncle, aunt, brother, sister, son, daughter. You're just supposed to bear it. कि मुंह बंद करो, चुप करो. नहीं करेंगे चुप. You cannot silence us like this. And it is cowardice If you don't want to face up to China, then you will be pushed to fight. Because how long will Indians bear it? We had the first wave. We overcame the first wave. We were feeling very happy. Came the second wave. It did not happen in China. It did not happen in Pakistan. It did not happen in Bangladesh or Sri Lanka. It's only now spreading to Nepal. How is it that it is happening only in countries which are inimical to China and not in countries which are friendly to China? Have you ever thought of that?
No, sir.
So the point is, do nothing. We are Gandhian. हमको कोई एक गाल पे चांटा मारता है, हम दूसरी गाल आगे करते हैं. आप करिए, हम नहीं करेंगे. We must put a stop to this nonsense. So let's have an open. If China has nothing to hide, why is it resisting an open inquiry? If you have nothing to hide, why should you start threatening people that if you do an inquiry on my territory, I will तुम्हारा सर फोड़ दूंगा, I will bloody your head, break your head, I will use nuclear weapons. What is the meaning of this? We are trying to get to the bottom of this pandemic. How did it start? Aim is to prevent it from happening again. You are setting the stage to do it again and again and again. And let me end with a piece of military history. You know how the Second World War started? With a staged accident, with a staged incident in Poland. On the German-Polish border, there was a German outpost. The Germans put on Polish uniform and they attacked their own force. And then they used that as an excuse to start the war against Poland, which started the Second World War. 1937, China-Japan frontier. There is a place called Mukden, and it is called the Mukden incident. There was a Japanese post there, border post. Japan put on Chinese uniform, attacked their own force. And then they started the war against China. So it has been done in the past. Here China has started the leak in Wuhan when it had the virus since November 2015. This virus was developed in November 2015 at the Wuhan Institute of Virology. They had 4 years to study this. They had 4 years to develop vaccines, 4 years to develop this. In 2019, media reports showed that China had made vaccination compulsory in China. What vaccine were they giving? What vaccine were they giving? Right? So they protected their population. Then they spread कि हो ये तो accident हो गया है. पहला अव्वल तो ये वुहान मार्केट से निकल गया. When the theory was found out, वो accident हो गया. गलती हो गई माड़ी जी. You know, and then you make the whole, you protect your people, but you allow air traffic to go on for 3 months. You infect the whole world. You weaponize the virus. And then you want to say we are the only country which is not affected. You know, we had only 8,000 dead. America has 6 lakhs dead. India has 3 lakhs dead. Some other countries have 4 lakhs dead. 40 lakh people have died all over the globe. Nothing will be done. Who cares for those people? Some people have arrogated themselves, the world is overpopulated. Oh, we will reduce the world population. Are you God? Are you God? Can somebody decide this and kill your relations, my relations, my father, mother, my brother, sister, my children? Somebody will take the decision, the world is overpopulated. Who the hell are you to play God? We'll teach you how to play God. We'll show you how mortal you are. You are threatening to break the heads of the world. The world will give it back to you, should give it back to you. And this book is a humble attempt to see that we realize what has happened and we raise our voices against it. We need to raise our voice against it. We cannot take it lying down. Otherwise, they'll keep giving us more of the same. No one spares a bender. Everybody will come and kick you in your backside. Abhi China is doing it, tomorrow Pakistan will do. ये तो सॉफ्ट टारगेट है, ये तो गांधीयन है, ये तो कुछ करेंगे ही नहीं साहब. इनकी एक गाल पे चांटा मारो, दूसरी गाल आगे करेंगे. अहिंसा के पुजारी पैदा हो गए हैं. 3 लाख इनके लोग मर गए, कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता. कीड़े मकोड़े नीच किस्म की ये जात है जो कि अपने औरों को, अपने लोगों को मारने देती. नो सर, you will be sadly mistaken. The world will get together and hit back at you. It needs to. This is a crime against humanity. This is genocide. This is worse than the Holocaust of the Jews by Hitler. They have done it to the whole world. 6 billion Jews died, 4 lakh global citizens are already dead, and they are still dying. This figure of 6 billion could easily be crossed because a third wave is coming. And you will deal with the third wave, fourth wave, fifth wave, sixth wave, seventh wave, eighth wave. कोई अंत नहीं है. Where does it all end? That is what the question that this book asks. Where will it all end? The world has to stand up and take a stand.
Absolutely right, sir. And I really salute you for such patriotic feelings. And I'm sure all of us are motivated and are really thinking about it. And I'm sure we are all with you, sir, in everything you're thinking. And the book that you have come out with, I'm sure we'll read it and we'll find a lot of answers. That sir, I have a lot of questions, but there are a lot of people in the interactive round. We have Mr. Vijay Shankar. He's an advocate and he's interested in literature, history, and reading. And he studied at Rashtriya Military School, Ajmer.
Yeah, good evening, sir. I'm from RMS Ajmer, 97 batch. I'm a Georgian. And it is really, sir, thank you, sir. And it is really a privilege to talk to you. Sir, my question has 2 parts, if you allow me.
Yeah.
Hello.
Yeah. Please go.
Sir, first part, sir. Sir, December 2019, the time when this Wuhan laboratory, all these things started.
Good.
Here in India, it was the time when the communist and Islamist-led anti-CAA protest started.
Yeah.
Then this is what kept the government busy for the next 2.5 months. This was a time when this virus steadily slipped into India and it took us unawares. Then came our tension with China on the Ladakh border. In Ladakh, then came our tensions in Ladakh. Then after that, by the time we were militarily prepared and when we took the cudgels, when we started making the moves, that was the time when we were taken unawares by this farmer protest. So don't you think that there was a sort of China angle in all this, and it was a part of the larger calibrated strategy by the Chinese Communist Party, led by Xi Jinping?
Absolutely. You see, in 1999, I was in the military operation directorate. Not only was I looking after the Kargil part of it, but I was also looking after nuclear, biological, chemical, radiological warfare, CBRN,
Sir.
Right?
Sir.
And that is the time we got a Chinese book called Unrestricted Warfare, written by 2 Chinese senior colonels who then later became generals, right? And that book said, how can China fight a superpower like America and beat it? So they said, by waging no holds barred warfare. There are no rules. The only rule is there are no rules. So against an enemy, use military and non-military means. Both. And the non-military means that they advocated in writing, black and white, included terrorism, biological warfare, chemical warfare, radiological warfare. It included poisoning water reservoirs. It included cyber warfare, information warfare, legal warfare, press-based warfare. All these kinds of cryptocurrency wars, destabilizing the currency of the other country, trade war, all war combined. कोई hold बार नहीं है. All that includes things like Orange Revolution, Pink Revolution, CAA agitation, farmer agitation.
Sir.
We just name it. They have deep pockets, they are prepared to pay, and there are people in India who are prepared to be bought. That is the pity. And then you can just add two and two together. You know, no country which is suddenly facing a grave pandemic starts getting aggressive with not one neighbor, not two neighbors, all neighbors.
Yes.
You see? And 8th of December is when they say they got to do. Huh? Actually, they knew it much earlier. Why did the Wuhan Institute of Virology, how did they find a use patent for remdesivir? You heard of the name of this medicine, remdesivir? It is the one used against COVID. January, May, they filed a patent. To file a patent, you need to test for at least 3 to 4 months. So how could they in 1 month file a use patent? That means they knew of it long ago. They deliberately hid that knowledge from the rest of the world so that it would spread. And by starting it, by saying that giving yourself an excuse, the same the Punjabi. So I am not to blame, you are not to blame. Please don't mind. आपके 3 लाख लोग मर गए. Very sorry. 40 lakh people have died. ठीक है, होता है. Accident हो गया ना. अभी और भी accident हो गए साहब. Very accident prone the
Sir, now the second part of my question, if you permit me, the second part, it is quite related to the first part. Sir, India was attacked by China. It was already undergoing its own version of cultural revolution. Its own people were starving. They were being killed. Around about several millions of Chinese were killed by Chairman Mao during the cultural revolution, and that was the exact time when they attacked and humiliated us in 1962. So, regardless of which government has been in power, what narrative has been actually set out is that the governments have been sleeping over China. How far do you agree with it?
No. By what was
regardless
the
of which party is there in power?
What was the problem in 1962? We had the Panchashil mindset. India is the most peaceful, pacific country in the world. And Nehru said, we don't need an army. Who needs an army? Police is sufficient.
Sir.
You know, you have such a mindset. You are inviting a kick. You got a kick. But the good news is that the Chinese army that hit you in 1962 under Mao was combat hardened, battle trained. 30 years they had non-stop fought a Chinese civil war. Then they had fought 3 years against the Americans in Korea and fought the Americans to a standstill. Then they had fought in Tibet against the Khampa. The Chinese army that hit you was combat hardened. Our army had become an army of Shanti, peacekeeping, ahimsa. Only thing that we are there for is UN peacekeeping operation. Hum to prem pujari, hum ye pujari. I mean, nonsense. You got yourself a kick. You deserve the kick. You got one. फिर आपके होश आवाज साफ हुए. But the good news is, Isab, between 62 and 2021, lakhs of tons of water has flown down the Brahmaputra. Okay? The Indian armed forces today are combat tested. It is the Chinese army which hasn't fought a war for 42 years. And when they will fight their first real war and not stop waging biological war, then they will find out आटे दाल का भाव क्या.
Sir.
ना को चने चबा देंगे. Very simply put. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, sir. I'm looking forward to read your book. Thanks a lot, sir. All the best for future endeavors, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Now we have Suraj Prasad, Major General Bakshi. He's in fact written a book along with Tuhin Sinha. In fact, he was our author for the author interaction.
Yes, I remember. Yes.
Yeah, this is the book, a very nice book, Mission Shenzhen. And Suraj is the co-author. They have written it together. So he wanted to talk to you personally. He's in fact a postgraduate from IIM and has written books earlier too. Yes, Suraj, welcome to our forum once again.
Thank you. Thank you. Major Bakshi, namaskar. First, I'd like to share that if I couldn't join the army, but my parents were in the army, both my mother and father. And
Wonderful.
my father served in 1971 war also. Both were in the Army Medical Corps, and lots of stories hearing while growing up. So it's a pleasure to hear from you. In fact, my dad is very excited to know that I'm talking with you today.
So sweet.
Yeah.
Give him my regard. Give him
Sure.
my regard.
I'll do that, sir. I'll do that, sir. So my question is that uh, League of Nations could not stop Hitler. पीस बाय पीस अपीसमेंट करते करते स्विट्जरलैंड हुआ, ये हुआ, पोलैंड तो बाद में आया. So now situation is, yes, they want to take over Taiwan, and maybe all this is a game set for that only. Do any other constitution republic in the planet countries have the will to actually stand up? And seriously, when I see things around, I feel everything is compromised through Chinese investment, money. And it's very difficult for someone to stand up and question back. So and I feel books like what you have shared and how you speak can only encourage people, citizens, to speak out and stand up and then make some noise. Because as an educated person, if can ask the right questions, every government has to listen. And so I fear that no one is going to stand up to China, and we are going towards 1984. But more and more people should speak up. So what should we do? Like, what do you see? The government have the courage to stand up, or how do we do the roadmap ahead?
You know, when governments get dividend, then I think it is up to the citizens, to you and me, to stiffen the resolve of the government. Because the voice of the people is the voice of God. And in a democratic dispensation, the government has to be sensitive to what its citizens are feeling. And if the citizens are feeling that, look, you can't murder 3 lakhs of us, you can't let us be murdered by China and do nothing because you are safe. Is that the point? कि हमको कुछ नहीं हुआ, जुलू कैटेगरी वाले सब सेफ हैं, तुम मरो तो मरो. अरे नहीं साहब, ऐसा, this is a democracy, and I'm sure the government is sensitive to this, and this is a government which is very strong on issues of national security. But the fact is, they have hit our economy, they have debilitated our economy, so the government has to think twice, thrice, 4 times before it takes a serious decision of taking on China. It has to see that we do it in concert with the rest of the world.
Yeah.
We have to build up that consensus.
Because the danger is...
What is the Quad all about?
Yeah.
What is about America, India, Japan, Australia getting together? You see, the 2 strongest powers, if you go by the balance of power theory, the 2 strongest powers in Asia that can really balance China are India and Japan, with Vietnam and South Korea in support role. Right? But we have to counterbalance China, especially when China is getting out of control. China thinks it has got all right to kill 40 lakh people all over the globe. What business have you to do that? Why should you not be given a pushback? And it's books like yours, books like mine, and we have deliberately put it in the fiction format because my unfortunate experience was that when you write very serious fact-based books, there are very few people. Only the libraries who will do, only the scholars who will read. They are also vital for shaping opinion, but it doesn't get to the common public. And therefore, we very deliberately chose the scenario generation exercise format, converted into a fictional scenario, which hopefully could also become the basis of films, movies, TV serials, OTT platforms. They need to take this on and spread the message. Spread the message. Look, we have to put a stop to it. It can't just be allowed to happen unchecked. Go on and on. अभी भैया ये फर्स्ट वेव से डील किया, सेकंड वेव आई. Why only in India? Why is there no second wave in China? That is where it started from. Why no second wave in Pakistan? वो फ्रेंडली कंट्री. लेकिन आपके यहाँ कोई भी चाइनीज आए, कोई थर्ड कंट्री का बंदा भेजे, फ्रोजन फूड लेके आए और एरोसलाइज कर दे जाके धारावी स्लम, which they are refusing to disband. They're refusing to take those people, settle them somewhere else, because half the crime, half the terror is bred there. So the pointed issue is that it is time for us to be alive to the danger that we are facing. And if we don't raise our voice, we will have more of the same. आप लॉकडाउन से fed up नहीं हुए? People are so fed up that they are doing revenge tourism. ये तंग आ गए यार, अपने घर में लटके लटके, बच्चे घर में बैठे बैठे. So people want to go out. You will have another wave, third wave, fourth wave, नई वायरस. 1200 वायरस हैं चाइना के पास.
गेम ऑफ फंक्शन रेशम
ट्रेलर है, अभी तो ट्रेलर है साहब. So when will you and I wake up? When it is too late? The government has to do something. The government has to align with other countries and stop being Gandhian. The greatest damage has been done to us by our Gandhian law. The modern nation state is based upon the sole monopoly of violence. The modern nation state in the post-Westphalian Treaty of Westphalia is based upon the monopoly of violence. Only the state can have armed forces. Only the state can have armed police. Only the state can kill. Our state is based on Gandhianism. अहिंसा, नॉन वायलेंस. आप हम पे हमला करो, हम फास्ट करेंगे. रो पड़ोगे तो देख के हमको भूखा मरते.
Very true, sir.
Idiot. You need to have your head examined. Some people do.
इसलिए
वो
yeah, there's a phrase. I'll just close my question, not question, my comment by one phrase which I heard in Latin: "Sis vis pacem parabellum." If you wish for peace, prepare for war. So,
if you want peace, be ready for war. If you are not ready for war, you are too cowardly to fight. A conservative is a man who is too cowardly to fight and too fat to run.
Thank you, sir. Jayan, sir. Thank you.
Jai.
Suraj, for your book.
Thank you for your effort. We must team up, actually.
Ji, sir. Ji, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
You know Tuhin very well, right? Already.
Oh,
Tuhin Sinha.
Thank you.
On various panels together. I've seen you on TV. So now we have somebody who's in fact served under you. She's Major Neha Patel. She was into casualty evacuations, removing criticality of supplies, maintaining smooth traffic movement from Leh to Dras to Srinagar. So welcome, Major Neha Patel.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Likewise, it's an honor to be under such an illustrated and such an illuminous set of people who are talking about books, about the relevant things that are actually needed to be talked about these days. And nobody is giving two hoots, like General Bakshi himself says so. A topic after my own heart. First of all, I would like to congratulate Sir on the book release and this wonderful discussion. And secondly, I would like to ask, are we prepared? Are we prepared to really take it on from all sides, like it is as of now? China attacking physically and with the biological warfare. Do we stand a chance, or will the world energies combine to really take on this task? So that's my question for you, sir.
Thank you, beta. You know, who dares with himmate mard, madad khuda.
True, sir, true.
India is a very big country.
It is.
If you really decide, you have 1.4 billion population, the same as China. In fact, ours is more than China. Ours is a much younger population, much more people like you than, white-haired people like me. So if we decide to take it on, we can do wonders. We can do wonders. We've got the brain. 30% of NASA is Indian. 30% of Silicon Valley is Indian. All top specialists, medical in the United States are Indian. Aapka Indian dimag is one of the best in information technology. You think mathematically. Indians are damn good at maths, in which the Americans are poor. That is why they are hiring your people. So you've got the brains, you've got the brawn, you've got a peasant army. You served in that army, mere bache. And you know our boys are from the village. Villages,
absolutely,
they are tough.
Sir.
They can sleep on the ground, they can get wet in the rain, they can be bitten by ants. I mean, it doesn't bother them.
True, sir. True, sir.
They're tough boys. You see, so we actually, if we have to go it alone, we can. But why must you go it alone? This is where your superior intelligence comes. Take the world with you. Take the United States. Take Japan. There are other countries who are worried about China.
Well,
Even Russia is worried about China. So now the Americans, unfortunately, have driven the two of them together. And Russia has now become a source of technology for China. But beyond the point, the Russians do not trust the Chinese. The Russians area pay, the Chinese have claims on the whole Far East, Vladivostok and the whole Siberian region of Russia, they are claiming. So they know that at one day they'll have to fight the Chinese again. So they are worried. You take a tough stand, the rest of the world will follow. I was telling people that, do you know, we really had a military advantage in Ladakh.
true, sir.
We
True.
should have pressed it home. Why do we have to let China dictate कि लड़ाई पत्थर से होगी, लड़ाई बेसबॉल बैट से होगी, अब उसमें कील लगा दिए जाएंगे, तो we will follow, they will lead, we will follow. All initiative with China. You don't have weapon. 1967, what did we do? We shut up.
Yes, sir. Yes,
We
sir.
shut up about 780 Chinese. 800 Chinese were dead. And about 3,000-4,000 were wounded. They got shook up. You had total peace for the next 30-40 years. So why couldn't we have used our weapons? I mean, you are killing our boys. 20 ladke maar diye along with the Kargil, you know, and you think we are supposed to only fight back because the foreign ministry decreed that we will fight only sticks with sticks and stones with stones, and then it will be. Are we in the Stone Age? What are the weapons with your army for? With your Air Force for? With your Navy for? Or Republic Day parade? They're not supposed to be used because you're a guardian. You know, it gets a bit, to a old soldier
I
like
do.
me, it boils my blood.
Absolutely, sir.
Well-
Listening to you, it boils my blood. I do feel the passion and energy you've always had. I admire you, sir, for your very powerful words that you use, irrespective of who's listening and who's not. I would like to say that congratulations on the book, sir. And I wish people look really taking it head on rather than cowering away and not listening and just waiting for something to happen.
Somebody else to do your dirty job.
Yes,
So
sir.
that you
Yes,
can
sir.
continue to be guardian.
Not fair. Not fair. Not fair.
Not fair.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I
Yes,
agree
sir.
with you. Thank you. Thank you for
Thank
the
you,
very
sir. It's an
positive
honor.
introduction.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Major Neha Patel, and it is such a pleasure
Thank you
to
so
have
much.
you. And really,
Likewise. Thank you.
given us goosebumps. Yeah. Now we have Niranjan Pandit. He's a IT consultant, and so last time when you were on the platform, he did ask you a question. So he's really always very eager to talk to you, Niranjan.
Thank you. Thank you, Niranjan.
So thanks a lot for this opportunity, and it's always an honor. It's an honor as always. Thank you for your service, sir. First of all, and I have two-part question. One is how are we prepared for the third, fourth, and fifth wave? And because these waves will not necessarily be a biological wave, they could be utilizing other formats of warfare as well. Number one. Number two, since these Chinese people have deep pockets and they're able to buy out people in government high posts and academy and everywhere, as you rightly said, what are the mechanisms by which we can counter them? Because if we know the same intelligence warfare was being played in World War II as well, and we were not part of that intelligence war, but there are ways in which you can use their own intelligence against them. So are we doing anything about it? Thank you, sir.
You see, intelligence is said to be the second oldest profession. You know, I won't name the oldest profession because you all and I, we all know what the oldest profession was. People selling them, right? Selling themselves, selling their body. Selling their body. That is the bloody problem. If as long as we have that mindset, people will always get bought. People will always get purchased. And that is the sad part of it. that now they are purchasing people at the highest echelons of the American universities. Don't forget, an American professor has been arrested by the FBI for selling these secrets of the genetical laboratory secrets to the Chinese. There's an American professor who taught Dr. Xi Zhengli how to fake genetically engineered virus as a coronavirus. Dr. Fauci has been talking in favor of China. Peter Daszak, because he has a business relationship with China, isn't bothered about 6 lakh American fellow citizens killed by COVID. You know that they are still in the frozen ambulances. Dead bodies still lying because there were no space to bury them.
Sad.
And yet people will give a clean chit to China. I mean, how low can you get? How low can you get? I think America is also a democracy. That is the beauty of a democracy. You can't hide things there. They will come out in the open. And the Freedom of Information Act has been used. You've seen that American senator tear holes into Peter Fauci, take him over the coal in Senate hearing. And we hope that this will result in some action. You know, people will not simply give in or not simply cave in before the Chinese threats of breaking the heads of people or going in for more nuclear weapons. There has been a pushback against China, and if they don't behave, you can't firstly kill so many people. Donald Trump has asked for $10 trillion in compensation. An American lawyer has filed a case in the Supreme Court by name against Maj Zhengli and Chen Wei, the two fathers of this virus, right? For $20 trillion. This is a lawsuit filed in the United States. So people are getting angry. It will take them some time to get angry because then it must be spread. And you see in democracies such a suppression of the truth. Look at the way Facebook behaved. Look at the way Twitter behaved. You know, you spoke one word against China and you were banned, sir.
True.
I was banned.
True.
1 day, then 3 days and all that, and I was told you better.
Even as good as, sorry to interrupt you, even a company as good as Apple has got dependency so much on China that they're willing to bend their own company laws for the sake of, appeasing Chinese money throwing people. So even Apple is not able to withstand its own principles, as far as I can say. I have what I've witnessed.
You know, the Chinese very deliberately, they learned lessons from Nazi Germany, the rise and fall of the Third Reich. They felt that they had started the war before they had become economically strong. They should have become economically strong first and then started the war. So they have followed a blueprint for the last 50 years, methodically. Now, Deng Xiaoping said it's glorious to be rich. Now they are rich. $12 trillion economy and cash count. They are purchasing people. Asked to bend, they are prepared to crawl. That is the problem. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Niranjan. So we have squadron leader Prem Khullar now. And so he retired in 1982. He was commissioned in 1960. Now he's a social worker and founder of the NGO Able Charities, which is doing a lot of very, very good work in Faridabad.
Good evening, General Bakshi.
Hi, how are you, sir?
Pleasure. I am an old person myself. I joined services in 59. I was commissioned in 60. And so I've taken part in all the wars, etc., way back till 82. 2-3 things I want to submit to you. One is about India's position. One was that 1948, we had a budget of 450 crores. Number one. Number two was that Gandhi was really not as non-violent as people make him. Reason being that he was a great follower of Gita. And he never said a word in October 48, because I was in Kashmir at that time. And I know that Indian forces were coming as a other political game. Third thing, sir, I want to submit to you is that I don't think personally, though I am a soldier basically, but I'm a social worker too for the last 30 years. And India, I don't think should look to any help to any Quad or Australia or USA or anybody. For a simple reason, they won't put their men in front. India is the only country which will put their men in front. And India's economic condition today has really faltered. I did my master's in economics in 1958, and Dr. Manmohan Singh was my professor in University College. India's economic condition today is absolutely dumps. We are printing money like hell, like 80,000 crores from 90,000 crores from Reserve Bank. So for our armament, we are still dependent on abroad. Our soldiers are good, no doubt, and that I cannot deny. But why have not Americans or Germans or any other got together to breed some sort of corona to fight it back on China when they know that they are being harassed? And not little number of America lost their manpower during corona. In fact, they've done across Indian number if you take the government numbers. So my submission, sir, is that we are unfortunately in a very poor position, both in terms of economically and in terms of our manpower. You mentioned that you have got a lot of manpower here. Yes, definitely, but highly untrained. In my own hospital, sir, MTech people come for jobs for PMs. It's a very sad state of affairs to submit to you. And my submission to you, sir, is that the books you write are very good. But when I cannot go to, it's a little difficult for me to go to Khan Market or Connaught Place to get books. A city like mine with 25 million people, not 25, 2.5 million people have got one small shop of 14 feet by 16 feet, and I think I'm their major customer. So, sir, how will we fight this corona now, the third wave? Now, my center on corona was not able to provide oxygen because government was not able to provide me the oxygen. Second thing, sir, is that when we went in to fight for it, oxygen was less. When oxygen needs reduced, then we didn't have enough ventilators. And last 1.5 months, I'm collecting ventilators, requesting million people for give me half a dozen ventilators, because I know when third wave comes in, then you will have 1,000 people asking for ventilators and nobody for oxygen, because I'm myself going to get a very big oxygen plant in another 15 days' time. So, sir, how would you treat China? And literally, I feel, I don't know how I'll say, we are alone. Indians are alone. Your point is 200% valid that Pakistan hasn't got it. But then we should have also got some sort of biological warfare and throw over them. And nowhere else, at least on somewhere in Tibet or somewhere like that. So that is why many things in my mind, to be honest with you, because I have got experience plus age plus everything in my back. And I'm still working. I'm still working 12 hours, 14 hours a day. You see, sir?
Good to see you in good form, sir. Good to see you in good form. And may the Lord keep you with your going with the good work. We pray for your good health and continued contribution. All that I would like to say is this, sir. Between 1962 and today, there is a sea change. Yes, sea change in our armed forces. You see, and we are today one of the most combat-tested armed forces of the world. 62, we may have hit a nadir. By 65, we had come back to the operational level of art. By 71, we had broken Pakistan in two, and that was in 13 days. I was part of that war. And we were at the cutting edge. Mine is the batch with Second Lieutenant Arun Khetrapal, Paramveer Chakra, Colonel NJC Nair, Ashok Chakra, Kirti Chakra. It's a real battle-starred batch. A lot of people have grown up to be generals. We produced one air chief, so many army commanders, Air Force army commander equivalent, etc. But we were blooded in battle. My batch is called the Born to Battle batch. We were blooded out of the academy straight into Bangladesh.
Yeah.
So we have seen war at very close range. And that was our military high point 1971. Kargil, again, we bashed up Pakistan proper, nice and proper. Made every single soldier withdraw. So we are a very combat-tested army. The Chinese army hasn't fought a war for 40 years. For that is not used rust. Today we are in a position to give a bloody dose to China on our own. But why do we say that, okay, get the others along? Because if you get the others along, they will pin down certain components of the Chinese forces, which would otherwise all be brought against us. Taiwan pins down certain components, Japan pins down certain components, Vietnam pins down certain components. So if you activate other fronts, if you go by the kind of alliance structure, which we with our non-aligned and holier than thou, and we are so peaceful, is there. My angst against Mahatma Gandhi is, we are a fighting people. We have fighting tradition. The Rajputs, the Sikhs, the Marathas, each one of them is a very glorious fighting tradition. But suddenly it was made, we are the most pacifist nation. We are all Buddhists. You see, when China started the Belt and Road Initiative, which was the only country in the world that opposed it, India. Today, the rest of the world is falling in line. You don't have to be camp followers. Lead and the world will follow. Sometimes we must lead, take the lead. And we are big enough now. We are big enough now to do it. And the only other thing that I would say in all humility is that Arnold Toynbee, the great historian, said, great civilization rise in response to great challenges from the natural or social environment. China is that challenge. This will make you grow if you rise to face up that time. We can grumble, we can say, sir, हम तो 850 साल गुलाम रहे, अब Chinese की सही. That is one way of looking at it. The Gandhianism must remain. That is the ultimate. We are actually Gandhian. We are not, sir. I refuse to agree. We have a very strong fighting tradition. Let us not corrode that tradition by pacifism. We must. Even Gandhi, as you very rightly point out, said, I am for ahimsa, not cowardice. And towards the end, Gandhi and Subhash Chandra Bose were on the same page. But then we had Nehru who was ruling. And he was the arch pacifist. He started Panchashil and got us the kick from China. So we must learn from our mistake. And we must be able to, if you are prepared to fight, you may not have to fight.
I've got only one small word to say about that we are not, our histories of fighting. From Porus downwards, if you look at it, if you look at Islam, 35 years Egypt gone and turned into Islam. Just about 49 years Iran was turned into Islam. Hinduism didn't go down to Islamic way for 800 years. We fought, we might have lost, yes. Rana Pratap lost, yes. But then our leaders didn't teach about Rana Pratap. We didn't teach that Assam did not become a slave for 600 years to anybody. No, Mughals went and lost there. So
Vijayanagar Empire?
Yeah, a home empire in Assam, sir.
That's
so
right.
They didn't let Mughal people win. They always stood till the Britishers came. They went again, but till that they were independent. So my suggestion, sir, would remain is that we are good fighters, but there's a very old comment somewhere I read that we had very good soldiers, but we had very bad generals.
That's right. And I must take the blame. I must also take the blame. But fortunately, I won all the battles that the government gave.
No, when we got our good generals like Govind Singh, like Shivaji, like other people, we won hands down.
Of course, we have won hands.
Thanks
No,
very
sir,
much.
I totally agree with you. I'll just like to say that the Indian fighting tradition goes back to the Vedas. If you study the Vedas, there is the battle of the Dasharajan, the battle of the Dvidashrajan, 20 kings and 10 kings. Major battles almost on par with the Mahabharata. Then there is the Ramayana, then there is the Mahabharata. They're all about wars. Then comes Alexander and Poland.
One thing you
So
should
this
tell
is
Indians,
fighting from the very ancient history.
you
And
are
let me also say that the Mughal Empire was destroyed in India not by the British, but by the Sikhs and the Marathas and the Ahoms of Lachit Borphu Khan, General Lachit Borphu Khan. We destroyed the Mughal Empire. We destroyed the tyranny of Aurangzeb. We did not need the British to free us.
No, we didn't die ourselves. Only thing is that we lost a lot of land like Pakistan. We lost a lot of that. I lost my home. I still remember it. And I remember very good category. We can say definitely our system needs a lot of it. I'm working in the field for the last 40, 30 years now. I'm out of it for 40 years. I was a farmer, but our system needs a lot of mending. Thanks very much, Neeta. I'm very obliged to you and kind of you to know General Bakshi.
We have one last question. Yes. So we have one last question before we take your last word on your book, Thunder Dragon. And we have Mr. Ajay Juneja. He's, in fact, MD of Juneja Steels, and he's from Rotary Club of Cosmopolitan. We have, in fact, a lot of Rotarians today. Ajay, your question, please.
Yeah. Hi, Mr. Bakshi.
Hi.
How are you?
Very
It's my
good.
honor and privilege. Yeah, it's my honor and privilege that I'm able to interact with you just because of Neeta. And she's a great lady. And she keeps interacting with a lot of authors. And we keep getting chances to get interaction. And my question to you was that since I'm a Sikh guy, and my question to you was, how can we resist China from aggressing? Because this is what is happening. How can we stop them from doing business with India or from the rest of the world? Because what is happening is that they are expanding just because of the money power. And if we can stop them from the money power, and if India can take a step that we will, or the WTO can take a step that we have to stop purchasing from China, or we have to stop doing business with the China.
Very valid question. You would recall that last year we had banned a large number of Chinese apps. And last year there was an outswell of rage. And people were saying, don't buy China. You know, the people of Arunachal,
I agree with
the border state of China, they were the first people to say, we will not buy any Chinese goods. अरे सर, आपके लक्ष्मी और गणेश चीन से बन के आते हैं. आपने मार दिए अपने बेचारे कुम्हार जाति के लोग जो कि आपके मिट्टी के गणेश और लक्ष्मी बना के बेचते थे, दिए बेचते थे. आपने उनको डिस्ट्रॉय कर दिया कि सस्ता घटिया चाइनीज माल मिल रहा है. तो भाई, so if we are really nationalist and if we all decide I will not buy Chinese product, you see what happens to the Chinese economy. And the supply chains have to be disrupted, have to be broken, have to be changed. Now everything, you know, spare parts, auto spare parts are made in Vietnam and this thing shipped to China for assembly. So we have to break those supply chains, reorient those supply chains, and you form a very good alternative source where if you can, you know, tweak your labor laws, your land prices, most overpriced land in the whole world. And land is an artificial kind of a bloody resource which is priced out of the reach of anyone and which is hampering the growth of your industry, which is hampering the growth of your new enterprises. So we have to pull ourselves up by the bootstrap. And, you know, when it push comes to shove, the Indians do react. You know, and we react when we are pushed to the wall. Narasimha Rao, in 1990s, the Indian economy was close to collapse. That is where you started your reform. And all that you have gained has come from there. If today you are more or less virtually unaffected by oil supply shock, if you are got about $600 billion reserve forex reserve. It is because, we technology, we had the second agricultural revolution, then it spread to UP, Bihar, MP, MP, agricultural revolution. And now
Yeah,
it
that's
is
true.
Rajasthan. You can revive the Saraswati there. So there is a lot that can be done. It is only, a push from the outside environment that will get the best out of us. We need that challenge. You see, in the absence of a challenge, civilizations atrophy. China is your challenge. Economy is your challenge. And if we take it up, I'm sure we have miles to go. Miles to go. We are the next superpower. We have the youngest population in the world. We have the most mathematically skilled population in the world, IT savvy population in the world. We have no reason why we should not be going there. We just have to get our act together. We just have to stop squabbling amongst ourselves. Thank you.
That is going to strengthen India also, economically also.
It will. Kautilya said, out of the Danda and the Kosha. Danda means the army. Kosha means the treasury. He said the treasury is more important. Without an economic base, you can't have a military which is strong. You can't have a military.
The backing has to be, financial backing has to be there. And China
Absolutely.
today, what is it?
That is the way the Chinese
China,
are going.
whatever. Yeah, that is what I'm saying. That China today is becoming world superpower. It's only because of the money power. And we can stop them if we stop buying anything from China.
Thank you for this opportunity. May I just take half a minute? This book has been done by Knowledge World, based in Delhi. And they have put it on Amazon. It's on the others. And they also have a website. If you go to that website, you'll be able to get this book. It will reach your home. The aim is we want to push this narrative. We want to spread this narrative. And I'm going on television, I'm going on social media, and I'm now gone on the print media. So we are going on all media concurrently to push this narrative so that we stop being victims. We must put a stop to it. We must deter China. We must raise costs and consequences. That was my limited point. If I've been able to put it across, thanks to this very valuable Trends Forum of Neeta. And God bless you. God bless you so much. Thank you all for being there. Jai Bharat, Jai Hind.
Jai Hind, sir. Jai Hind. Thank you so much for gracing our platform. Thank you everyone for joining in. Thank you, sir.